Next on Good Morning El Paso, breaking news overnight. A child is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries after being ejected during a car crash on Mesa. We have the latest. Also, another child clinging to life this morning after falling off the back of a moving truck on the east side. We also have that information. And the city has voted unanimously. A park supposed to be completed last summer now has a new deadline.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
A very good morning to El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle. Hillary Florin is off today. It is just after 6 o'clock on your Wednesday morning, and let's get to the forecast. We are talking about some strong winds today, and Crystal, we remain under that first alert.
Yeah, we do. We called that first alert Monday morning for windy weather outside. We saw it Monday, we saw it again yesterday, and we're going to see it again today. Let's talk a little more about your first alert. So, gusts will pick back up, but again, like yesterday, it won't be until the afternoon that we expect those gustier conditions. Plus today, looking at a little better potential for some blowing dust to move into our area as we move through your afternoon. The good news is Thursday morning still some windiness, but by the afternoon it looks like winds will start to weaken. Temperatures outside right now, we're at 69 in El Paso. Your winds at 11 miles per hour. To Las Cruces, 55 degrees, winds at 12 miles per hour. So 10 to 20 mile per hour winds the only expectation through the morning, but in the afternoon those gusts up to 50 miles per hour are possible. We'll talk a little more about when those highest gusts will hit, and we'll check in on what you can expect in the days to come. That's a few minutes from now.
Okay, Crystal, looking forward to it. And now to a child in the hospital this morning with life-threatening injuries after a crash on El Paso's west side overnight. Investigators at the scene at Mesa and Argonaut, where two people, including a child, were taken to the hospital. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live from the scene with the latest from our round-the-clock coverage. Denise.
Good morning, Stephanie. We are here at the intersection of Mesa and Argonaut where the wreck happened, but as you can see, it's finally all cleared. It was closed for more than 5 hours since the wreck happened, but now commuters won't be affected this morning. We do want to let you know, though, there is a lot of debris that was left over. We can see just some pieces of what was left over from the car, like things like this, but police and investigators did try to sweep off all that debris off the road. So now let's get to the video from our round-the-clock crew overnight. This is what we know so far. The crash involved two cars, a red car and a gold-colored car. Right now, we don't know the status of the child's condition who was ejected from that vehicle. Police still not releasing too many details at this hour, and we do know that a second person was also taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. But again, the good news here is that this area will not be affecting the morning commute because Mesa and Argonaut is open again. And once we get any more information on that child's condition, we will pass it along on air and online at KVIA.com. For now, we're live in West El Paso. Denise Olivas, ABC7.
All right, Denise, thank you. Meantime, an 8-year-old boy is in the hospital this morning clinging to life after he fell out of the bed of a moving truck in Tornillo. It happened yesterday evening on the 19,000 block of Tornillo Avenue. And this is video from the scene. A sheriff's office spokeswoman tells us the boy was riding in the bed of the truck when they say the boy's 27-year-old mother was taking them to his grandparents' home. And that's when she noticed her son was gone. Officials say the boy was found about 180 yards away from the home. He suffered serious injuries to his head and is currently on life support at El Paso Children's Hospital. The mother has been arrested and charged with endangerment to a child. A teenager from El Paso was involved in a deadly crash that killed 2 children in New Mexico. It happened Monday night on US 84 south on Anton Chico. Authorities say 19-year-old David Herrera of El Paso and 20-year-old Andrea Nieto of Colorado Springs were the 2 drivers involved. The 2 children in Nieto's car were killed. Herrera and Nieto were hospitalized. Details about the crash have not been released, and we still don't know which driver was at fault. A Juarez teenager is in custody after authorities say she tried to smuggle more than 10 pounds of meth across the border. The value of the drugs, more than $330,000. Customs and Border Protection agents made that bust Monday at the Isleta port of entry. When agents inspected the van that 18-year-old Cristina Edith Cervantes Avalos was driving, they say they saw something in the rocker panels. And that's when a drug-sniffing dog alerted officers to the meth. El Paso City Council voted unanimously to extend the project deadline for a Northeast El Paso park. The city decided to not terminate its contract with the construction company hired to complete Barron Park in Northeast El Paso. The park is on the 11,000 block of Rogers Hornsby Street. The park was supposed to be completed last summer, but is months behind schedule. Instead of terminating the contract, though, the city will now hold the company in charge, Spartan Construction, to a hard deadline of May 30th to complete the park. Spartan Construction itself set that timeline and promised to stick to it. When we spoke with the company's president yesterday, he told us the delay was caused by changes in orders, a design flaw, and bad weather conditions. Well, now that the deadline has been set, council members are hopeful Spartan Construction will keep its promise.
I think that many times it's easy to say, oh, I'll have it done by such and such a date, and just to get a reprieve. And to me, you know, when you give your word, I mean, that's everything. That's everything.
Today, I think, is a win for everyone. Today was a win for the residents of the city. They're going to get a completed park in less than 60 days. It's a win for Spartan Construction because they get to continue with the project. It's a win for the city councilors because they get to announce that they've got a completed project in less than 60 days.
Spartan Construction will go before council with a status report on June 2nd. By state law, a business cannot sell alcohol if it's within 300 feet of a daycare. But City Council says it's not that black and white. A nightclub owner asked City Council to allow an exemption for his nightclub on Airway, south of the airport. Going by the property line, it is within 300 feet of the daycare's property, but the actual doors of each business are actually more than 600 feet apart. The daycare says it doesn't mind since it's across Airway and there are other bars in the area. So council approved it. Just so you know, council doesn't always make exceptions. In fact, it denied another business owner's request. But in that case, the bar would have been right next to a daycare, and that facility did object. In New Mexico, there's a debate in Las Cruces on whether to pave Baylor Canyon Road. Baylor Canyon Road is on the foothills of the Organ Mountains. Take a look at this map. It is the gateway to places like Baylor Canyon and the Organs National Monument. A large portion of it is not paved. That could change if both the Bureau of Land Management and Doña Ana County decide to upgrade the road. But it is a project that depends on the results of an environmental assessment being conducted by the BLM, which owns the land. Some residents are worried that paving the road will lead to unwanted problems.
The traffic, the high speed that they're using on Baylor Canyon Road, which is dangerous to people that's out here just looking, enjoying the country. If they would obey the speed, that'd be one thing, but they're not.
The BLM's environmental assessment could be complete in 2 weeks. After a 30-day window for a public comment, the county and BLM will decide whether to pave Baylor Canyon Road, nearby Dripping Springs Road as well, which connects to Baylor Canyon, or leave the roads as they are. Speaking of roads, we have some traffic alerts that you want to be aware of this morning. Road construction has begun on Viscount near Hawkins in East El Paso, and this will result in lane closures for the next 3 weeks. This is all part of a citywide project to improve traffic flow at busy intersections. Crews are expanding the turning lanes. Now, the intersection will stay open, but the lane closures could cause some backup. The city will continue work also at Viscount at Mottwood, South Kleinfeld at both Pebble Hills and at Mottwood. Now, the chosen intersections are based on an analysis of traffic flow and accident rates. And now let's take a look at our TxDOT traffic cameras, where you can see that crews are still on the scene at Mason near Executive. This is just south of the intersection, where a light pole was down on 2 of the 3 lanes of the southbound lanes of Mesa. You can see that traffic is still being allowed on the left-hand lane of Mesa. Just be careful if you use this intersection to get around because, again, crews are still on the scene. And still ahead, we are just 1 day away from the Chihuahuas season opener, and we were there for Media Day to speak with the players. And in storm track weather, parts of the country are once again being hit with unseasonably spring weather. We'll take a look coming up, and back here in the borderland, our weather definitely looking like spring. Crystal?
Absolutely. Still under a first alert for windy weather. We'll talk more about your peak gusts this afternoon, but also we have the details on that Chihuahuas opening game. It's after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. It's 6:10, and this is ABC 7, where news comes first.